The Russians have recently captured a lithium deposit. It's all over the news, and I want to explain why it matters and what's important about it. I think this is important, but I don't think it's necessarily mission critical. I'll explain what I mean. Just stay with me to the end because I'll show you the value of the lithium as well as what this means for the broader war. Okay, so let's start here. Kyiv Post: Russia claims it now controls strategic lithium deposit in Ukraine. Where is it? Russian forces claimed on Thursday to have captured the village of Shevchenko in eastern Ukraine's Donetsk region, which sits atop one of Europe's largest lithium deposits. 14 million tons of ore with lithium hydroxide concentrations ranging from 0.5% to 4%, making it a crucial asset for Europe's green energy transition and electric vehicle battery production. Okay, so we know that it's valuable, but what about it exactly? Now, before we get to that, where is it? Let's look at it on a map. So here's Shevchenko, and it's just below Pokrovsk. I mean, if you're paying attention to what's going on in Ukraine right now, you know that Pokrovsk is one of the hardest fought battles. There's 111,000 Russians right around Pokrovsk, and this is what it looked like about 6 months ago, and this is what it looks like today. Here's Pokrovsk, here's 6 months ago, here's today. So the Russians keep pushing little by little forward. And they want to take the strategic crossroad, but they also want to get to here's the border of the administrative border of Donetsk. Okay. Russia sees key lithium field in challenge for U.S.-Ukraine minerals deal. This came out yesterday, and it was updated in the New York Times. And here's the story in the New York Times. Russian forces have seized control of valuable lithium deposit in Donetsk eastern region of eastern Ukraine, depriving the country of a critical asset that could have helped support new economic partnership with the United States. Well, yeah, but that economic partnership was down the line, right? Well, there's a little bit more to the story. Though relatively small, it covers only 100 acres, the deposit was seen by industrial analysts as one of Ukraine's most valuable because of its rich concentration of lithium, a mineral essential for manufacturing advanced technologies such as electric batteries. The United States has designated lithium as critical to its economy and national security. But that doesn't really matter for Ukraine's purposes right now, so what gives? Let's talk a little bit more about it. Yulia Servdenko, the Ukrainian economy minister who signed the deal on behalf of her country, declined through a spokesperson to comment on the capture of the deposit, which is the first to fall into Russian hands since the agreement was signed. Now, part of what I'm going to show you on a map here, well, let's actually show you the map. So here's a map of the mineral deposits, and there's a lot that's already within Russian control. This is the lithium map, lithium deposit right here. I know it's not a great map, but so some things are already within Russian control, and there's a lot that's outside of Russian control. But let's go back to this. Okay, Ukrainian officials see the deal as a pathway to securing long-term American support for their war-battered country. But what do the Russians get out of it? They get a lot. I mean, they get a whole lot, and it could be a big shift for the Russians when their economy is ailing. I'll talk about that in a moment. In an apparent effort to show the Trump administration that the deal could yield swift results, the Ukrainian government last week approved first steps to open a large state-owned lithium deposit to private investment. That site, known as Dobra Lithium Field, could become the first project started under the deal. Several investors have already shown interest. That's at a different place. That's not this place that's right now occupied. Russia's occupation of roughly a fifth of Ukraine's territory means it already controls many deposits of titanium, manganese, and other critical materials. As Russian forces continue to push forward in the east, they are now getting closer to more deposits of titanium and other raw materials, such as uranium. Ukraine still has another major lithium reserve available for development, both located in central part of the country, well beyond the current front lines. But the potential of the deposit has not been lost on Russia, which already plundered other Ukrainian resources like grain during the war. Now, I just talked about this kind of thing here in this video and the previous video. If you go back, just not my last video, which was about the 4 planes that Russia just knocked down, or well, blew up on the ground. 2 destroyed, 2 wounded, but we don't know exactly how injured those particular planes are. Before that, I did this video about the Russian economy facing unprecedented strain in key sectors. And just 2 days before that, I was talking about, like, I went through every major article over the last month about how bad things were in the Russian economy. Things are really bad. I mean, the economic ministers are saying, hey, we're on the brink of a recession. Putin's talking about how, like, we can't allow it to go into recession, as if you can command that somehow. So they really, really, really do need this additional source of income. The potential of this deposit has not been lost on Russia. Russia's state nuclear giant, Rosatom, has shown an interest in the Shevchenko deposit. Quote, we understand that this deposit is a very important element of the future economy and has great potential. So this could be a funding source that could replace other things if they can actually mine it. Now, whether they'll be able to mine it or not depends on how far the Russians can push forward and keep Ukrainian drones and other artillery and such from attacking them. Okay, here it is again in a defense blog. Russia seizes one of Europe's largest lithium sites. The village, seemingly unremarkable at first glance, lies roughly 10 kilometers from Velika Novosilka. If you've been around paying attention, you recognize that name. A town that fell into Russian troops in January. And that's when I'm showing you like this map and how far they've gone from this was here's how it changed from 6 months ago to now. Okay. But now they've gotten that 10 kilometers and this is where we are. Lithium deposits, which are used in battery manufacturing for glass ceramics, aerospace alloys, and energy storage systems. As demand for components rise globally, lithium has become highly sought after strategic resource. Just how highly sought after? In 2022, lithium prices peaked at over $80,000 per ton. Now, it's down quite a significant amount right now. Right now, from China, you can get it for $8,500 per ton. So it's a sharp decline, but still, at that price, I'm going to show you at the very end how much of their military they could fund if they could mine all of it. Just wait for me. Okay, Russian forces are not only expanding their military presence in eastern Ukraine, but also gaining access to long-term economic and industrial assets. So they're coming in and stealing more as they're taking over, and they're getting stronger by doing that. Ukraine's Ministry of Energy and Environment had previously identified the area as a priority for domestic exploration and foreign partnership. That potential now lies in contested territory under Russian occupation. The seizure comes after Ukraine and the United States signed that major agreement for resource security. And occupying this territory, Russia not only expands its physical footprint in the Donbass, but also potentially undermines Ukraine's ability to leverage these key assets post-war. Now, let's look at the map again. Here's one map, and it shows all the minerals, which is why I like it. But a better map would show like just how expansive this is. And this is again where it is. Again, Russia's economy is struggling, and that's why this is important, because if you look at this, Shevchenko, the lithium deposit, it's approximately 1.2 million metric tons worth of lithium, which means 141 billion US dollars if they could mine all of that. What does that mean exactly? Well, this is January 2025, Russia's year of truth, the runaway military budget. There are clear signs that Russia's 2024 military budget exceeded the planned 10.4 trillion rubles, 101 billion, and was actually closer to 13.2 trillion, 129 billion. So their last budget cycle was 129 billion US dollars, and this deposit is 141 billion. So there's, I mean, it's significant how much like what we're looking at here. But can they mine it? That's the trick. And the further they push the Ukrainians away, the more they'll be able to do that. Okay, that sounds depressing and frustrating, but you ought to know what's going on with the lithium deposit and the Russians controlling that and what that actually means. So I'll leave you with this just to leave you on a higher note. This is a map showing the origin of all Miss Universe winners from 1952 to the present day. Okay, I hope that lifts your spirits and makes you feel better about, well, stuff. Okay. Anyway, just a joke. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.